My wife left me for her dream. Man, now she wants me back because he turned out to be a nightmare. 3 years ago, at 48 years old, my world turned upside down when I discovered my wife, who was 46 at the time, was having an affair. She met some guy at work, and after just 3 months, came home one day to tell me she was in love with him. She said she no longer loved me and wanted a divorce. We had been together since our 20s and had built a life with 3 wonderful kids, 2 sons, 28 and 26, and a daughter 23. I tried everything to save our marriage. I didn't want a divorce and fought for what we had, but no matter what I did, she wouldn't stop seeing this guy. Then, one weekend, she disappeared from Friday afternoon until Sunday night without a word. That was the breaking point for me. I threw her out of the house. She immediately moved in with him. The only excuse she ever gave me was, "I never wanted to hurt you, but there's something about this guy, and I deserve to be happy." That was it. That was the depth of her reasoning for throwing away everything we had built together. We finalized the divorce in early 2022. Despite the anger and resentment I felt, I managed to fake enough civility to get pretty favorable terms. It seemed she was so eager to be with her dream man that she didn't have the patience for a long, drawn-out divorce. In the end, I kept my pension and the house, which I had bought from my grandmother. I did have to give her half of my 401k, though. The impact on our kids was devastating. They all took it hard, especially our oldest son, who told her that if she chose this man, he would never have a relationship with her again. To this day, neither of our sons speaks to their mother. Our daughter still talks to her occasionally, but their relationship is strained, to say the least. My daughter is a kind-hearted person and tries to keep the peace, but she usually ends up more upset after their conversations. Then, about 4 months after the divorce was finalized, my ex contacted me out of the blue. She told me she had made a terrible mistake and asked if she could come home. Her so-called dream man turned out to be nothing more than an alcoholic, someone she claimed was verbally abusive and squandered all her money. When she reached out to me hoping for some sympathy or a way back, I took the opportunity to tell her exactly what I thought of her, as a person, a wife, and a mother. I told her this was her life now, and she had to deal with the consequences of her choices. I made it clear that she no longer had a home here and that she should never contact me again. Over the past year, a few things happened that made her desperate to reach out to me again. First, I met someone new. My sister introduced me to a friend of hers who was also divorced, and we hit it off right away. We've been seeing each other since last summer, and while neither of us is interested in getting married again, we're happy together. Once my ex heard about this, she tried to contact me again, but I ignored her. Then, our son got married, and he didn't invite her. She reached out to me pleading for me to intervene on her behalf. I told her I would talk to him, but I never did. Honestly, I feel like she deserves all the pain she's feeling when it comes to the kids. She destroyed our family without a second thought, and now she's reaping what she sowed. Too bad. So sad. Recently, she told our daughter that she finally broke it off with her so-called dream man. She couldn't take his drinking or his complete lack of responsibility any longer. He wasted her half of the 401k I had given her, and he even totaled her car while driving drunk. This from a man in his 40s. She threw away our family for someone she barely knew for 3 months, and now she's dealing with the fallout. On the surface, I act like I feel sorry for her, but deep down, I take a twisted pleasure in knowing how unhappy she is. Call me evil if you want. I don't care. She brought this on herself, and it serves her right. I still remember the night she got ready for a date with him, laughing on the phone with her friend about how awkward our living situation was. I lived in hell for over a year because of her. Now she has no idea that our son and his wife are expecting a baby later this year. Maybe when she finds out, it'll be another blow to her already crumbling world. If she had kept her legs closed, she would have the chance to meet her grandchild. Instead, she's stuck in a shitty one-bedroom apartment, driving a broken-down used car. Meanwhile, my new partner and I will be thinking of her while we're on vacation in Hawaii this summer. A trip my ex and I always planned to take once our daughter finished college. Maybe I'll send her some pictures, just for old time's sake. Seeing the natural consequences of her actions unfold has been strangely satisfying. It's hard to describe the mindset of someone who leaves a long-term marriage for an affair, but watching her life unravel gives me a sense of justice. I hope Hawaii is everything we dreamed it would be. Yes, it's a total mind-bender to have the person you've been with since your 20s suddenly come home one day and tell you they've fallen in love with someone they've known for only a few months and want a divorce. I'm sorry if this has happened to you too. I'm right there with you. Granted, my marriage lasted longer, and our kids are grown, but I understand the pain. What made it worse for me was when she used that infamous line, "Oh, he's just a friend. There's nothing going on. I think of him like a brother." What, are you into incest or something? It's mind-boggling. Tonight, she texted me again. I've kept most of our interactions via text unless she calls while I'm driving, just so I have a written record. Although I use profanity in everyday language, I've never called her any names to her face, which I think will work in my favor in the long run. This time, she asked if I could send her some money for an insulin meter or something like that. I told her I'd be willing to meet her at the store and purchase it for her. Legally, I'm still obligated to financially support her until the divorce is final, so I was willing to help, but she immediately declined and followed up with, "Never mind, I'll figure it out," and then added, "Don't worry, I won't be asking for anything from you anymore." It was just another reminder of how far she's fallen. Yeah, well, you kind of gave up the privilege of me taking care of you when you walked out. I spent the last 10 years taking care of you, and now you want to turn around and call me abusive? Sucks when I stop buying into your nonsense, doesn't it? To be honest, I'm bracing myself for what's coming in the next few years. I wouldn't be surprised if, down the road, she ends up signing over custody because she can't manage to take care of the kids during her weeks. It's not something I want to happen, but I've learned the hard way not to ignore my gut. And right now, my gut is telling me to prepare. It's oddly therapeutic to realize that I'm not the only one who's been blindsided by their ex. Reading about others' experiences helps me see that I'm not alone, and that I'm not the bad guy here. I'm not innocent, but I'm definitely not the villain of this story. Am I the jerk for snapping at my aunt who said I wasn't a real doctor? I'm a 35-year-old female plastic surgeon. I went through years of medical school and residency, and though it was tough, it was all worth it. Initially, I entered med school with the intention of becoming a psychiatrist, but surgery captivated me, and I decided to pursue that path instead. The problem started years ago when I first told my family that I was going into plastic surgery because it was what interested me the most. My parents, siblings, and brother-in-law were all incredibly supportive. Whenever I felt like giving up, they were always there to encourage me. But not all of my family was as supportive. My aunts, uncles, cousins, and even my grandparents on both sides were happy when they knew I was in med school. But their attitudes completely changed when they found out I was pursuing plastic surgery. At first, their snide comments and passive-aggressive remarks annoyed me, but I learned to brush them off. Recently, however, my 40-year-old cousin on my dad's side, who's the daughter of the uncle who keeps making derogatory comments about my career, made a comment that pushed me over the edge. I couldn't care less what my cousin does, but my aunt seems to think I need to be updated on every detail of her daughter's life. Every time I see her, she goes on and on about how smart her daughter is and how amazing it is that she's working on a policy in nursing and childcare. But the last time I was over at her house, she said something that really got under my skin. My sister and I were there because my aunt had some hand-me-downs to give to my nephew. We were all eating when she suddenly said, "It's great that she's going into medical school. Maybe we can finally have a real doctor in the family." I sat there in silence for a moment, trying to process what she had just said. What the hell was she talking about? I glanced at my sister, who looked just as furious as I felt. Finally, I snapped and said, "Her changing a kid's soiled pants does not make her a doctor, and neither does knowing how to clean a cut. She's not in medical school. She's too dumb for that. She wouldn't even last a week before dropping out." My aunt looked absolutely livid and yelled at me for being rude, then had the nerve to say that I wasn't much of a doctor either. That's when I lost it. I yelled back that I went through years of med school and residency, that I'm a licensed doctor and surgeon, and that she had no idea what she was talking about. My aunt started crying and stormed out of the room, so my sister and I decided to leave. A few hours later, I got a text from my cousin, calling me an asshole for what I said, and for attacking her mom. More texts started rolling in from other family members, and somehow the whole thing spread to my mom's side of the family as well. Most of them are telling me I need to apologize for yelling at my aunt, but my immediate family, my mom, dad, brother, sister, in-laws, and girlfriend, are all telling me not to. Now, I'm essentially being shunned by both sides of the family. They won't even let me explain my side of the story. So, was I the asshole in this situation? You can tell them I said to piss off. A plastic surgeon fixed my 5-year-old sister's face after a dog attack, and now, within a year, you can't even tell it happened. That surgeon changed her life for the better. So yeah, they're a real doctor. And so is the plastic surgeon who put my friend's chest back together after her double mastectomy, giving her back her confidence and improving her mental health. So, there you have it. We're taking those new tattoos to Hawaii this year, and we're bringing along a happy, emotionally healthy friend. Oh, I'm so angry on your behalf. Back in high school, a guy went through a windshield and completely destroyed his face. Thanks to plastic surgery, he looks almost back to normal. I went through medical school myself and practiced for years, specializing in tropical medicine, though I ended up doing a bit of everything while working in underserved communities in Africa. I don't practice anymore because I moved back to Canada and switched careers, but that's beside the point. I'm sure my family would consider me a real doctor. But the truth is, plastic surgeons are 100 million times better clinicians than I could ever hope to be. Plastic surgery is an art form. It's so easy to make even the tiniest mistake and completely ruin someone's life. Surgery in general is an art. Anatomy is incredibly complicated, and the slightest deviation from what you intended can lead to severe bleeding, nerve damage, or worse. Plastic surgery comes with all the same risks and complications as any other surgery, but with the added challenge of achieving an aesthetically pleasing and functional result. And let's not forget that a plastic surgeon has to anticipate how their work will look after the body has completed the healing process. It's like working on a sculpture that's going to bulge, shrink, and shift in the days and weeks after the sculptor has finished. Plastic surgery might be in my future, who knows? But one thing's for sure, plastic surgeons are as real as it gets. As a transgender person, I've personally experienced the incredible work that plastic surgeons do for us, especially with surgeries below the belt. I can wholeheartedly say that the surgeon working on me is a true professional, someone I respect deeply, just as I respect my family. Anyone who suggests that plastic surgeons are somehow less than us is utterly ignorant. Of course, there are exceptions, those quack, predatory surgeons who knowingly perform irresponsible procedures on patients, often those struggling with surgical addiction. But that's not representative of the field at all. I'm mentioning this solely for the sake of completeness. That's all for today. If you're enjoying my story, please like it and share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you.